Hey campers, my name is Matt Gayheart. I am a conservation educator with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. I am going to be your all's virtual nature class instructor this year. So first thing we're going to talk about in this class is called conservation. Conservation is defined by the Department of Fish and Wildlife, means to use wisely without wasting. All right, so this means we'll use a hunting season for this. We have limits on our hunting season to help control a population. So we use deer for an example. There's over 1 million deer here in the state of Kentucky. Our hunting seasons help us control that population. If we didn't have this and the deer continue to breed, they would overpopulate an area. They would exceed the area's carrying capacity. Carrying capacity means the ability to keep a number of animals alive without hurting the environment. So if they were to exceed the carrying capacity, then they would slowly kill the habitat around them. They would kind of starve themselves to death and stuff like this. So that's the reason that's one of our conservation techniques we use. Another one that we use is reintroducing animals that have disappeared from the state before. One of the programs in Kentucky is mollusks reintroduction. So right now, there is a lab in Frankfurt that is growing different types of mussels. I believe over 70 different types of mussels they have grown since 2002. What happens is they start from an egg and they grow these mussels until they're about 1 year, 2-year-old juveniles. And then they reintroduce these guys back into the streams where they've disappeared before throughout time, throughout the years in Kentucky due to different types of things. So that is another type of conservation that the department uses. All right, our next topic we're going to talk about is what is the biggest threat to animals to wildlife in Kentucky, and that is habitat loss. There are 3 different types of habitat loss. You have fragmentation, you have degradation, and you have destruction. So fragmentation is where you take a habitat and you kind of carve it up into smaller sections. This happens a lot with agricultural expansion, building cities, building freeways. This takes away part of the habitat that those animals have and makes it smaller and smaller for them to live in. This affects different things. Migratory animals, this affects big time. This gives them smaller places along their migration patterns to stop, rest, and get food. Butterflies, birds, stuff like this, it greatly affects those things. Degradation is when an ecosystem, a habitat, is degraded enough to where it cannot sustain animals anymore. This happens through pollution, different things. And then the last one is called destruction. Destruction is a total loss of habitat. That means there's nothing there anymore that could sustain an animal, sustain wildlife populations. Different things that do this is agricultural expansion, building of cities, pollutions of rivers and streams. Also, mining for fossil fuels is a type of habitat destruction. Okay, now there's one thing we're going to talk about right now is there are 4 things that all wildlife need to live. And that is water, food, cover, and space. So water, there's a pond back behind me. Everything needs water to live. Water is the most abundant resource on the planet. The 70% water planet Earth is. A lot of it's not drinkable, it's salt water, but right here, like I said, a lot of animals come to this spot right here to drink water. Now another one they need is food. So there is a bunch of things here that produces food. You have mushrooms, for example, grass, clover. There's a lot of different things to eat clover, rabbits, deer, stuff like this. And also there are trees around that produce cover and food. So right here, it's kind of wilted up, but right here is an oak leaf. I'm going to let you guys figure it out, all right, because this is one of your challenges, but this produces hard mast food. That's nuts and stuff that a lot of things like to eat, deer, bear, stuff like this, squirrels. Now right here, this is the state tree of Kentucky. This is called the tulip poplar. A lot of people call it, there's yellow poplar as well. So right now it's getting ready to start blooming out. You can see that little flower right there. They get very bright yellow, white, and orange flowers on them. So this is another thing that provides cover. Now we also have, this is one of my favorite leaves or trees right here. This is called a sassafras tree. Now these are really cool. A lot of things eat these. Beavers eat the bark off of them, bears eat the fruit. But one of the really cool things with the sassafras tree is it has 3 different types of leaves. So this right here, we call it the spoon, because obviously it's shaped like a spoon. There's another one that's shaped like an oven mitt, so it'll have the lobe right here with another one coming off. And the last one is called the fork. So you'll have one big main lobe, then 2 branching off on each side. We'll have another lecture a little on later in the summer, and I'll show you guys more pictures of this. The one I found only had one type of leaf on it. And another cool thing is that you can take these leaves, if you find them, you can mash them up like this, kind of rip them apart, and they smell like lemon. Some people say they smell like Fruit Loops. And also the roots smell like root beer. So it's a pretty cool tree. And then I had a maple leaf, but we'll go on. So we got cover, right? Trees produce cover, help things live. A lot of things live in those trees. Beech trees, for example, they kind of get big and hollow. Raccoons live in them, possums live in them, owls, squirrels use these as den trees. Same thing as bears. Bears can use fallen trees as dens for hibernating. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is space. Obviously, you can see there's a bunch of space here for many animals to live. So with this, we'll use bears for an example again. So bears, a male bear's typical home range is 80 to 100 square miles. They need that space in order to find their food, water, cover, stuff like this in order for them to live. So the final thing we're going to talk about is biodiversity, which is the variety of life in an ecosystem. Biodiversity, where you see the highest amount of biodiversity, is where 2 ecosystems meet. This is called an ecotone. There are many different types. If you can see behind me right through here, we have a grassland, kind of grassy area, and then the wood. You have a tree line all the way back through there. This is a grassland and a forest ecotone. So you'll have a great amount of biodiversity right here. In this grasslands, you'll find stuff, rabbits, turkeys, quails, grouse. Deer come out here and feed. Elk, there's a lot of elk up here. They feed over here too. And then right where the trees and stuff meet the grassland, you're going to have all types of forest creatures. So you'll have raccoons, possums, squirrels. You'll have deer, bear. You'll also have owls, stuff like this. Predators, you'll have coyotes, stuff like this that'll come out, maybe hunt those rabbits out here in the grasslands. So that's one of our types of ecotones we got right here. And I've got one more I'm going to show you that's really neat. It's coming up right in just a second. All right, so this is our last ecotone that I'm going to show you. So behind me is a very large beaver dam that you guys can see. This dam is about 7 foot tall. It's taller than I am. So very large beaver dam. Anyway, these beavers dammed up a small stream running through here and created another ecosystem. It's an aquatic ecosystem. It's a pond now. Where I was before showing you guys the different trees, talking about cover and space, that's actually the pond that they created. So this pond is next to a grasslands. So this is our ecotone, grassland and aquatic together. So those grasses obviously are going to have those rabbits, turkeys, grouse, stuff like this. Now this aquatic system will have beavers, fish, frogs, different types of bullfrogs, spring peepers, salamanders, aquatic insects, and stuff like that. So this is our last ecotone we're going to talk about, and now we're going to get on to our challenges. Okay, so here are your virtual nature activity challenges. You'll have 6 questions to choose from, but are only required to complete 3. You should submit a video identifying which 3 questions you have chosen and answer all 3 questions using one continuous video for submission purposes. Now, number 1, you should obtain an oak tree leaf, show the leaf, state what oak tree seeds are commonly called and what type of oak tree it is, what species. Number 2, identify a woodland food source and state 2 species of Kentucky wildlife that would eat it in order to survive. Number 3, find a type of habitat loss and explain how it affects wildlife. You can use a picture of habitat loss if you're not able to show one in a video. Number 4, find an ecotone near your house An ecotone is a place where two ecosystems come together. Identify two animals that may use that habitat and what food they may find and types of shelter they could use. Now you can also use a picture of an ecotone too if you can't find one around your house. Number 5, visit the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources website at fw.ky.gov and type endangered species into the search bar. After researching Kentucky's 16 bat species, state in the video one of the 3 bat species that are considered federally endangered. And number 6, once you log on to the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife's website again at fw.ky.gov, type in endangered species in the search bar, and then read about alligator gar and watch the 9-minute video entitled Alligator Gar Radio Tags at the bottom of the page. State in the video the names of the other 3 species of gar that live in Kentucky.